Hello, brethren. Just want to give you a quick update on something that's been going on here in Papua New Guinea. Had a real exciting day, so I wanted to share that with you. A couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, I was informed about a little house line, little village, about maybe 15 minutes from our house that is on the backside of the airport. The name of this little area is Kenta. It's a house line, maybe 1,000 people in that general area. And kind of on the backside of that, Kenta, there's a tiny little village, maybe 70, 80 people in a little area called Ru, R-U-O, Ru. And it's called that because the river Ru runs right next to it. And anyway, it's kind of a border between two tribes. I was told by somebody that there was a man in that town, that little village of Ru, that had been saved, that was a Baptist, that had asked a missionary to come. He had actually asked a national missionary to come, Baptist missionary, and he had allotted some ground, and he said, all this ground will go for Baptist missionary compound or setup or station, whatever you want to call it. And so I said, well, it'd be fun to go up there and see it. So we drove up in there. They've actually put a new road. Used to be about a 40-minute drive that now from our house would be about 15 because they cut a road in the back. Anyway, that doesn't matter, but we went up in there. Brother Eric and I went up in there, maybe a month and a half ago now, maybe a month. We went up in there and we met some people and we said, where's this land? Where are the people that, that have invited missionaries to come? If they're saved, they'd be somebody to talk to. And one of the ladies that was there, she said, well, the man that had allotted that property ended up dying. He's not an old man, but he got some sort of sick. They weren't very specific, and he died. So as much as that sounds disheartening, the custom here in Papua New Guinea is that because they're very superstitious people, it would probably be harder to put a church on that ground with that man alive than now that he's passed away. And I say that because of this. Because of their superstition now, that man being passed away, all of his family will not even use that ground for their gardens. They won't use it for anything. It just sits there. And one of the man's brothers is actually Lutheran. He's kind of one of the leaders of the Lutheran church in that area. And I asked him, why doesn't the Lutheran church do something with it, to see what he would say. And he said, no, the dying wish of my brother is that a Baptist work will start there. So it was interesting. So we're not very interested in the ground as much as we are the souls of men. So we made a decision as a family to begin going up there to Ru first, and then we would go over to Kenta, which is a very close walk. And we would start giving gospel tracts, begin to meet the people, begin to introduce ourselves to them, and look for an opportunity to maybe preach to them. Kind of in Papua New Guinea, the way it works is if you come and just start talking, not just being the white missionary, although that helps, but also just being an outsider, the people will come and they'll all gather around you and they'll stand there and listen to you talk about anything, much less preach. So we went up about 2 weeks ago. I think we went to Ru. Our family went on a Friday evening. We went up there. We met the people in the little house line, the village there, and met some more saved people. We met about 5 people there who have been trying to get into a church, but they don't have a vehicle, trying to visit one of the churches in Hagen. But it's really hard for them because, again, they don't have a vehicle and the buses run so sporadic on Sundays that many times they'd get to church, but then they'd be stranded till Monday without a place to stay. So they've been praying for God to bring someone in and put them on that land. Well, we gave out some tracts. We told the people we'd like to come back again. Well, today, our Sunday, we went and as a family, we were going to hit Kenta, go into Kenta. So we went to Kenta today. We parked at the school there. There's a big school in the middle of the town there. Kenta's pretty big. Again, I said there's about 1,000 people that live in that greater vicinity. So we went in there and parked our vehicle. We got out. There was a few kids playing in the field. There was a few ladies walking by, but the town was pretty empty compared to other times. And so I thought that was strange. So we began to walk down the road. As we walked down the road, there wasn't a lot of people. Usually in New Guinea, as you begin to walk, you'll just gather them to you because you're the outsider, you're the new guy, and they want to see you. So as we were walking, we weren't running into anybody. One of the ladies came out of their house and she said, well, everybody in the village is down in this Sing Sing area, kind of a common area in the village that's just kind of doesn't belong to anybody. It's just village ground. They do business. They have their festivities, such things like that. So I said, okay, well, what are they doing down there? And she said, they're having a compensation meeting. And the way that works, I don't have time to explain all of the New Guinea culture here, but basically what happens is one person wronged another. And what will happen is, in order to keep the tribal violence down, the two areas, towns, villages, tribes, whatever, however big the offense may be, will come together. They call it a boom, a gathering, and they will negotiate what is the proper. So in this situation, there was a man who had come in and tried to steal some things, and somebody had cut him, so they were trying to figure out the damages for both of those offenses. And so all of these headmen were there, the council for the village council was all there, all of it. Well, we weren't going to go up into that because it's kind of you want to respect their culture and not just barge in and take over. So they had, when we walked up and seen it from a distance, they had the offended parties line, family, they call it a line, all on the left-hand side over there. And on the right hand, they had almost all of the village, or at least the adults and most of the men, sitting over there. And it was a big kind of gathering. They had just finished negotiating what both sides would have to pay. And one side had to go to kind of get the money or go whatever. So they had left. So they were all just sitting there waiting. Well, at the same time, as I said, we weren't going to go up in there, but one of the ladies in the village had asked to hold the baby. And turns out she was the head man, one of the councilmen, the leaders of that village, his daughter. So she was holding the baby, and she would walk away. She was kind of walking towards that group to show her friends the baby and stuff. And she was close to us, but we kept following behind her and ended up leading us right into that. Well, when I came into that, I told everybody, I'm sorry. I don't mean to disrespect what you're doing. You know, I'm just giving out these gospel tracts. I'm going to leave. I'll come back another time since you're in the middle of this business. They all stopped what they were doing. There was a circle of men sitting on the ground. They were all the council and the headmen, the authority in that area. And they said, no, who are you? Where are you from? What are you here for? I told them I'm a Baptist missionary from America. I've come because I know your village doesn't have a Baptist church. It needs the gospel preached in it. And they said, well, we're just waiting. So you take 5 to 10 minutes right now and just preach. It was a wonderful opportunity that is it never happens, those type of things. I never anticipated that. So today, I stood up in front of the village. Usually when they do these things, they'll have, like I said, one side and then the other side that's negotiating a part. The head man stood up and he motioned to the men that were on the other side and said, you can come over here. Even though it's against their custom, you come over here and sit with us so you can hear this preacher preach. So for about 7 to 10 minutes, I preached. Very quickly, gave them the gospel and talked about how you have to make compensation to God. God is offended. You've offended God. And how are you going to make compensation when you end up in the judgment day? They call it last day court. How are you going to make that compensation? Pigs won't do it. Coins won't do it. Retribution won't do it. Revenge won't do it. You need Jesus Christ, that's all. And they all sat there quietly and listened. They were all very respectful, nodding along. When I was done, they were very appreciative. They weren't rude. When I was done, the headman motioned me over again, and he said, listen, I am in charge of this village. And the fellow councilman that was next to him, they were both there in agreement. He said, I want to let you know you have an open door. Anytime you want to come into this village, don't fret about it. Don't worry about it. You have an open door. Any of our Sing Sing grounds, any of our open areas, you're welcome to use. You can come at any time. If anyone tells you you're not allowed to preach in this village, tell them that I, Robert, said that you have open door to come here. And he said it in front of the whole village, and everyone agreed, and they were very friendly. Now, again, we're aware that sometimes culturally people are nice to you because they think you're bringing something physical to them or things, but we're very open. We're here to give you the gospel of Jesus Christ. So it was a big answer to prayer. On the way back, I'd been praying about some things. Again, I mentioned to you, I'm almost done. I mentioned to you before that we had met some Christians over in Rue. Well, again, today we were in Kenta. And on our way back, it just so happened, divine providence, I guess is what it would be, just so happened as we were walking down the road, there was these two young men that were kind of walking at the same time. I'd say late teens, early 20s at the oldest. And I began to talk with one of them. They call it story. I began to story with him. As we were talking, he began to share with me that he was saved. He began to share with me that he was independent Baptist. He began to share with me that he'd gotten saved in the Southern Highlands under another missionary that we know. but he had moved to this area to go to school, and the church that he had been going to now had been shut down. I said, "Where are you going to church?" Because the only thing in this town is Catholic and Lutheran and Seventh-day Adventist. He said, "I don't go anywhere. I read my Bible on my own and pray." And I don't know what's more impressive, that there was folks there in the town that were accepting of us coming, that were willing to give us an open door to preach wherever we want, under their giving us full authority, or the fact that God at the end let us meet up with some other Christians and see them so that we could maybe get something started. So we're asking you to pray about this. It wasn't my plan. I didn't come to Papua New Guinea to plant churches. Came to Papua New Guinea to work in a Bible school. Still intend to do that. That's well in the works. It's working well. And we're very happy with the progress we've seen moving forward to get the Bible school well underway. We'll give you more about that later on. But this has just kind of been dropped in our laps, and we're taking every step with prayer, but with an open door that we can come preach anytime. Fellow Christians already there that are excited, that want a church. Ground that's already at our disposal. We wouldn't have to negotiate and manipulate the situation to get it. It's right there. It just seems like an open door that we would be remiss in not going through. So we ask you to pray for Kenta, pray for Rue. There are two areas together. Pray for those Christians that are there. And pray that the open door stays that way. The Bible says there's a great and effectual door open unto us, but there's many adversaries. And we're fully aware that with an open door like this comes adversaries. With an open door like this, religion will oppose us, culture will oppose us, and sadly, even sometimes the brethren will oppose us. But we know that if God's in this thing, nothing can go against it. So we're asking you to pray. It's an exciting report, and hopefully in the future we'll have more reports to give you. Thanks so much. We appreciate your prayers and your support. God bless you.